Warrior, some great news if you're following us, and you should be, and you're watching this, about child safety online and big tech platforms. Let's talk about what happened just yesterday, a few short hours ago. A U.S. appeals court allowed thousands of lawsuits to move forward against Meta platforms, Alphabet's Google, ByteDance's TikTok, and Snapchat, okay, over claims they designed their products to be addictive to young users. Now, this is something I want to make very, very clear. This allowing all of these lawsuits, currently there are over 3,000 federal lawsuits against big tech, and there are thousands in all the states, over 3,300 alone in the state of California. This this appeals court saying allowing these thousands of lawsuits doesn't mean these platforms are guilty. Let's get something straight. They're not guilty. It's allowing the lawsuits to go ahead. So this is great news, opening up, allowing America to come to court. Now, here's the thing. It's over design product. This is such a great way. You know, it's hard to say great when children have been harmed and there's so much chaos around big tech and what's happening. But it's the product design. We saw this recently with the two lawsuits in New Mexico and in California. And again, just the other day, a judge ruled an additional judgment against Meta for actually calling Meta a public nuisance. And again, it's about product design, that the design is made to addict kids with the infinite scrolling. And this is a good thing, because we know from the whistleblowers, we know from the internal memos that have been brought forth, we know from the words of, for instance, of Mark Zuckerberg alone, who just says basically kids are collateral damage. But I do want to point out, we talk a lot about Meta, we talk a lot about Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of other big tech CEOs are to blame as well. So let's talk about everybody. But the companies had argued going into court that they, and it's the typical playbook for big tech, you know, they are under the Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act from 1996. Now, I talk about that a lot. That was 30 years ago. So much has changed in 30 years. And the Section 230 generally was a shield for them. It said, you know what, these platforms, and at the time we had like two, are a billboard or a newsstand. They cannot be held responsible for third-party content, and it makes sense. It actually makes sense at the time, barring lawsuits. But most of these appeals come after a case has concluded with a ruling or a verdict. And the companies were contending, and I'm reading here something, that they should not have to wait until the litigation ends to challenge the lower court's rejection of their immunity defense, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. Of course, they'll appeal. Of course, they'll keep this tied up. Of course, they have deep pockets. They have more money than anybody right now. Look at all the money on Capitol Hill they're putting into lobbyists and fighting child safety. There are a couple of things we have to do here. We have to work on sunsetting this Section 230, adapting it to fit into, you know, our lives today in 2026 and the safety of our children. But right now, the American public has a right. We have we have state attorneys generals filing lawsuits. We have municipalities filing these lawsuits. And again, it's the product design that's causing the infinite scrolling. It's causing the surging depression, anxiety, body image issues. It's a huge thing. Over 50% of our teenagers who say they use Instagram and TikTok, they're also saying they have body image problems. So look, we all have to come together. We all have to watch all of this. The bottom line is there is a lot going on right now. There is a lot of chaos. What are we going to do? Well, you're going to talk to your kids. Number two, that was one. Number two, you're going to get involved in your schools as much as you can to understand what they're utilizing tech, to be part of the classroom, as opposed to, we don't want tech taking over the classrooms. Yes, it's going to be a part of it. We are pro-innovation, pro-technology, but we want technology to work for our kids, right? Not our kids work for technology. And we also, we have these tech platforms, and of course, and I'm not a lawyer, but, denying all of this. But the proof is in the pudding, everybody. We now have the American public pushing back, and that is the most powerful, powerful thing. Why, after all, we had a jury of 12 Americans back in March in New Mexico, in California, so that would be two different juries, actually more than 12, 24, stating that Yes, we're going to rule with these parents. We see harms caused. Again, it is by product design. So let's take a breath. I'll keep you apprised of everything going on. This is good news that lawsuits can go forward. I guess the lawyers are going to have a field day with this one. But in the meantime, children are being harmed. Our young people are being harmed. Talk to your kids. You buy a device. Make sure you understand what the device is, what the safety features are. You understand that you put guardrails on. You don't depend on anybody else. The company you bought the device from. You don't depend on things in the classroom is going to be safe. You must parent up or guardian up and be that leader. But it all starts with a digital family partnership and talking to your kids. Because today, having a device is opening the world, opening your front door and welcoming the world in if you don't put some guardrails and have honest discussion. So join us. Community creates change. And when you wake up each and every day, make sure in 2026 you go out and be a warrior.